Now to the United States, police say that the man suspected of shooting dead at least 6 people at a 4th of July parade in Chicago had been planning the attack for weeks. The 22-year-old initially escaped the scene after shooting at crowds from a rooftop. He was later arrested. Police say the attack appeared to be completely random and that the gunman was not targeting any specific groups. Yeah, so what more do we know about what happened? Let's go now to our correspondent in Washington, D.C., Sumi Sumaskanda. She has been covering the story for us. Good evening to you, Sumi. So what else do we know, and what did the police tell us about this attack?
Yeah, Brent, officials have been releasing more details about this terrible shooting. As you said, we've learned that this was a premeditated attack. The shooter had cased the building and the area where this parade was taking place. He had women's clothing on as disguise to blend into the crowd and to be able to evade police as he was fleeing that rooftop where he had positioned himself for the shooting. We also learned, Brent, that he was taken into custody after a citizen actually reported seeing the suspect's car. So police had put out these alerts warning people to keep their eye out, of course, and a citizen actually noticed the license plates and alerted police, and the suspect, according to authorities, didn't resist arrest. He is in custody awaiting charges. As for the shooting itself, more than 70 bullets were fired into the crowd, and the weapon was a legally purchased firearm, an AR-15 style gun. And we know, Brent, that this is a weapon that has been used in multiple mass shootings in the U.S. in recent weeks. A lot of details are still being released, Brent, but we should say we're seeing so many harrowing tales of witnesses on the ground really describing absolute pandemonium. And we can't forget there are people who were wounded, who suffered gunshot injuries, and they are being treated in the hospital as well.
We heard earlier from police, Sumi, that the police apparently were not aware of this 22-year-old. He did not have a criminal record. He was not on their radar. So do we have any inkling then about what would have been his motivation?
Well, police are still combing through a lot of information to determine that motive. If they have determined one, they haven't shared it with us or with the public just yet. But what we do know is that this suspect had a long and troubling trail of social media posts, Brent. So there were tributes to mass shootings that he had posted, the suspect had posted. He had numerous profiles on different platforms. He performed as a rapper. He posted violent music videos. And there was a violent YouTube video as well, one in which he depicted a stick figure in tactical gear attacking people, also musical lyrics that were violent. So clearly the suspect had a deep digital footprint, and a lot of it very troubling. There were signs here that he was in trouble. And
this happening during a 4th of July parade. This was not the only shooting to take place on Independence Day this year in the U.S., was it?
Yeah, it was a violent July 4th weekend, Brent. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there were several mass shootings over this holiday weekend. We've seen these images of people running in Philadelphia when shots rang out there at a fireworks celebration. 2 officers were injured in that shooting. Investigators there are still trying to figure out what happened. But, you know, we've been talking about this shooting in Highland Park. In Chicago itself, Brent, this was a weekend where we saw at least 57 people shot. There were shootings in other cities like Kenosha, Wisconsin, as well. So this is just adding to a list of mass shootings that we've seen in the U.S. in recent weeks.
Unfortunately, a never-ending story. Sumi Sumaskanda in Washington. Sumi, thank you.